For thousands of years, the world's most powerful institutions have guarded a secret hidden in plain sight. They have buried it under layers of religious allegory, dismissed it as myth, and scrubbed it from the history books. But as the clock of the great year strikes its final hour, the truth is rising from the dust of the desert. The number 144,000. You've heard it in the echoes of the apocalypse, but the manuscripts they didn't want you to read, the suppressed Gnostic Gospels, the silent scrolls of the Essenes, and the forbidden astronomical maps of the ancients, reveal a much more terrifying and awe-inspiring reality. It is not a count of people to be saved. It is a mathematical lock, a biological code, a specific frequency required to survive what is coming. Right now, as you listen to these words, the Earth's magnetic shield is thinning. The sun is preparing a solar spark that hasn't been seen in 26,000 years, and the ancient calendars are all pointing to this exact window of time as the moment of the great harvest. This isn't about theology. It's about the science of the soul and the geometry of the end of time. Today, we pull back the veil. We are moving beyond the theories and into the contents of the books that were never meant to be opened. The seals are breaking. The alignment is here. This is the secret of the 144,000, and what the ancients knew about the shift we are about to face. Keep one thing in mind. You can leave a like and freely share your opinion in the comments at any time. This is your space. The universe does not speak in languages of men. It speaks in the immutable laws of number and frequency. To understand the secret of the 144,000, we must first strip away the modern lens of literal interpretation. Ancient forbidden texts, from the dusty scrolls of the Dead Sea to the stone-carved warnings of the Maya, point to this specific number not as a head count of individuals, but as a mathematical constant of the cosmos. It is a harmonic frequency. In the Vedic traditions of the East, the cycles of time known as the yugas are built upon this very foundation. When we multiply the 12 signs of the zodiac by the 12 tribes of Israel, and then by the 1,000-fold expansion of the spirit, we arrive at a number that represents the completion of a great cycle. This is the geometry of the soul. In the suppressed Pythagorean manuscripts, there is a recurring concept that all is number. The ancients knew that for a planetary shift to occur, a critical mass of consciousness must be reached. This is what the texts mean when they speak of a remnant. It is not about an exclusive club of survivors, but about a specific vibratory density. If you look at the measurements of the Great Pyramid or the mathematical distance between celestial bodies, the number 12 and its square 144 appear with a frequency that defies coincidence. These are the living stones mentioned in the Whispers of the Initiates, a crystalline structure of human minds capable of anchoring a new reality when the old one begins to fracture. Consider the ancient fragment which states, "When the square meets the circle, and the 12 become the host, the earth shall resonate with the song of the stars." This short citation reveals the hidden truth. The 144,000 are the tuning forks of the world. In the forbidden Hermetic dialogues, it is suggested that the human body is a microcosm of the universe. If there are 12 cranial nerves and 12 systems of the body, then the amplification of these systems by the power of the 1,000, symbolizing the crown or the infinite, creates a being that is sealed. This seal is not a mark of ink. It is a structural alignment of the human biofield. We are currently approaching the apex of a cycle that the ancients feared and anticipated in equal measure. They tracked the slow wobble of the earth, the precession of the equinoxes, knowing that when the sun rose in a specific house of the zodiac during a specific alignment, the gate of the sun would open. The manuscripts hidden from public view for centuries suggest that we are the generation living through the closing of the circle. The weight of this number is the weight of the Earth's own transition. As we move deeper into this period of instability, the geometry of the chosen becomes our only map. It is a blueprint for survival encoded in the very fabric of our reality. The ancient builders didn't leave these numbers for us to count people. They left them for us to measure the light. They knew that when the electromagnetic field of the planet begins to weaken, only those who have harmonized their internal frequency to the 144,000 hertz of the new song will remain standing. This is the science of the sacred, a forbidden mathematics that proves we are not witnessing the end of the world, but the recalibration of existence itself. The ancient manuscripts do not merely speak of spiritual salvation, they describe a profound biological metamorphosis triggered by the heavens. When the secret texts mention the sealing of the foreheads, they are referencing a physiological event located at the very center of the human brain. This is the activation of the pineal gland, the third eye of antiquity, which the forbidden scrolls describe as the lamp of the body. In the silent chambers of the past, the initiates knew that a time would come when the sun would begin to emit a different quality of light, a solar spark that acts as a key to the dormant codes within our DNA. We are now entering that window of celestial intensity. The 144,000 are those whose genetic makeup is prepared to receive this solar influx without being consumed by it. Think of the human body as a biological circuit. Most are currently vibrating at a low resistance, but the coming shift requires a fortification of the nervous system. The manuscripts hidden by the desert sands suggest that our blood contains iron, and our cells contain crystalline salts that respond to the magnetic fluctuations of the sun. As the solar winds intensify, they carry information, light-encoded data, that seeks to unseal the 12 strands of the human blueprint. This is the true meaning behind the 12 tribes. They are 12 genetic archetypes that, when unified, form the complete human expression. A fragment from the lost teachings of the Essene states, "The light shall strike the stone of the mind, and the blood shall sing with the fire of the morning." This poetic imagery is a literal description of a biochemical reaction. When the solar spark hits the pineal gland, it triggers the production of specific neurochemicals that allow the consciousness to perceive dimensions beyond the visible spectrum. The 144,000 are the precursors of this evolution. They are the individuals whose internal frequency has been refined through silence, intent, and the rejection of the chaotic dissonances of the modern world. They have prepared their temples to house the fire of the spirit. This process is not metaphorical. We are seeing the physical evidence in the weakening of the planetary magnetic shield. As the shield thins, the cosmic radiation increases, acting as a mutagenic agent. For those who are unaligned, this causes confusion, fatigue, and the breakdown of old structures. But for the sealed, this radiation acts as a catalyst for a massive jump in consciousness. It is a refinement process like gold being purified in a furnace. The ancient texts warn that this period of transition would be marked by great heat, not just the heat of the climate, but the heat of a spiritual friction as the old carbon-based self attempts to transition into a more luminous, crystalline state of being. This biological upgrade is the ultimate secret the institutions have tried to hide. They want you to believe you are a static, fading organism, but the manuscripts of the elect reveal that you are a transmuting entity. The number 144,000 represents the threshold of this collective mutation. Once this many individuals have successfully integrated the solar spark into their biology, they create a resonant field that lifts the rest of humanity through the same gate. It is a chain reaction of light. We are not just waiting for an event. We are the event. Our bodies are the laboratories where the future of the human race is being forged under the pressure of the stars. Deep within the earthen jars of Nag Hammadi and the hidden crevices of the Qumran caves lay the most dangerous secrets ever recorded, the instructions for the internal alchemy of the soul. These forbidden gospels do not speak of a distant god or a religious ritual, but of a rigorous process of self-transformation. The ancient Gnostics understood that the 144,000 were not a group chosen by favor, but a collective that had mastered the art of the great work. They referred to this as the bridal chamber, a state of consciousness where the masculine and feminine energies of the human psyche are perfectly fused. This internal marriage is what allows a person to stand unmoved while the external world dissolves. The manuscripts of the elect reveal that the human experience is often a drunken sleep, a state of amnesia where we forget our celestial origins. The role of the 144,000 is to be the first to wake up. According to the Gospel of Thomas, when you make the two into one, and when you make the inner like the outer, and the outer like the inner, then you will enter the kingdom. This is not a destination in the clouds, It is a description of a specific electromagnetic state. To make the two into one is to synchronize the heart and the brain, creating a coherent field that can withstand the turbulence of a collapsing age. The Essene scrolls further detail a daily practice of communions, which were designed to align the human body with the various forces of nature and the cosmos. They believed that the earth and the stars were living entities, and that the elect must learn to speak their language. The secret scrolls suggest that there is a ladder of light, consisting of 144 steps, each representing a level of mastery over one's own shadows and impulses. As an individual climbs this ladder, their cellular vibration increases. By the time they reach the summit, they are no longer subject to the archons or the manipulative forces that seek to keep humanity in a state of fear and scarcity. This internal alchemy is the true armor of light. The ancient texts describe a period of great darkness, not a lack of sun, but a density of deception. During this time, the elect are instructed to turn their gaze inward. They are told that the temple of the body is the only place where the true bread can be found. This bread is a metaphor for the high-frequency energy that sustains the spirit when the material world can no longer provide. The forbidden Gospels warn that many will seek the truth in the outside world, in signs and in leaders, but they will find only mirrors and smoke. The 144,000 are those who have found the source within. The mastery of this alchemy allows for the manipulation of time and space. The Gnostics believed that those who reached this state of gnosis or direct knowledge were no longer bound by the laws of linear time. They could see the end from the beginning. This is why the ancient prophecies are so precise. They were written by those who had already stepped outside of the stream of time. They left these manuscripts as breadcrumbs for those of us living in the final hour. They knew that when the cycle reached its lowest point, a small group of awakened souls would be the only thing holding the fabric of reality together. They are the anchors, the bridge builders, and the alchemists of the new era, turning the lead of human suffering into the gold of divine presence. To find the truth about our current era, we must look away from the chaotic headlines and turn our eyes toward the silent, grinding gears of the cosmos. The ancient manuscripts were, above all else, manuals of celestial mechanics. They tracked a cycle known as the precession of the equinoxes, a vast journey of the earth through the heavens that takes approximately 25,920 years to complete. This is the great year. The 144,000 are inextricably linked to the closing of this massive loop. We are currently standing at the exact moment where the needle drops into the final groove of the record. The transition from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius is not merely a change in astrological symbols, it is a physical and energetic realignment of our entire solar system. Forbidden astronomical texts suggest that as we move into this new sector of space, we are entering a photon belt, a region of high-intensity light and electromagnetic energy that hasn't been encountered for thousands of years. The ancients called this the Great Harvest. They understood that just as a farmer gathers crops when the seasons turn, the universe harvests consciousness when the celestial alignment is ripe. The number 144,000 is the mathematical key to this harvest. It represents the square of the 12 zodiacal houses, multiplied by a factor of divine completion. It is the signature of a soul that has matured through all the lessons of the great year and is now ready to transcend the cycle of rebirth. A rare citation from an Alexandrian fragment states, "The stars shall shift their stations, and the sun shall hide its face in the veil of the daughter, and only the ripe fruit shall be gathered into the barn of the heavens." This barn is a metaphor for a higher density of existence. The alignment we are currently witnessing involves the positioning of our sun in direct relation to the galactic center. This alignment creates a bridge of energy that allows for a rapid acceleration of time. This is why the world feels as though it is moving faster, why days feel shorter, and why the old systems of the world are decaying at an unprecedented rate. The Great Harvest is the extraction of those who have reached the necessary frequency to inhabit a world no longer governed by the dense, heavy laws of the previous age. The manuscripts indicate that this celestial movement triggers a reversal of the Earth's magnetic poles, not necessarily a physical flip of the planet, but a reversal of the energetic flow. The 144,000 act as a stabilizing grid during this flip. Without this core group of anchored, conscious beings, the sudden shift in magnetic pressure would be too great for the collective human psyche to bear. They are the North Stars for the rest of humanity. As the magnetic field weakens toward 0 point, the veil between dimensions thins. The ancient observers knew that at this 0 point, the gates of the abyss and the gates of heaven open simultaneously. The secret documents warn that we are approaching a moment of total stillness, the small silence, where the old world ends and the new one has not yet begun. This is the transition point of the great year. The 144,000 have been trained through lifetimes and genetic memory to remain centered during this void. They are the only ones who can navigate the dark rift. While the rest of the world sees this as an apocalypse, a word that literally means the lifting of the veil. The elect see it as the homecoming they have prepared for since the beginning of the cycle. They are the stewards of the transition, the ones who hold the frequency of the new earth while the old one is recycled by the fires of the sun. In the final chapters of the most guarded revelations, there is a recurring mention of a new song that echoes through the heavens. The text explicitly states that no one could learn this song except the 144,000. To the uninitiated, this sounds like a musical metaphor, but to the student of ancient resonance, it describes a literal shift in the fundamental frequency of our planet. For thousands of years, the Earth has vibrated at a steady, rhythmic pulse known to modern science as the Schumann Resonance. This is the heartbeat of the world. However, the forbidden manuscripts warn that at the end of the age, this heartbeat would accelerate, forcing every living cell to either adapt or perish. This new song is the frequency of the new Earth. It is a surge in the planet's vibrational base rate that corresponds to a higher state of consciousness. The 144,000 are those who have successfully tuned their own internal resonance to this rising pitch. They have moved beyond the dissonance of fear, anger, and survival, frequencies that characterize the dying age, and have mastered the consonance of unity and high-order thought. According to the suppressed Pythagorean texts, when a string is plucked at a certain tension, it will cause every other string in the room tuned to that same frequency to vibrate in sympathy. This is the secret of the elect. They are the strings tuned to the future, and their very presence begins to vibrate the world around them into a new form. A fragment attributed to the early desert mystics says, "The earth shall groan in the labor of a new sound, and only those who have the ear of the Spirit shall not be deafened by the noise." This groaning is the physical manifestation of the energetic shift. As the planet's frequency climbs, it creates a massive pressure on the human nervous system. Those who are still anchored in the lower frequencies of the old world experience this as mental instability, physical ailment, or overwhelming anxiety. The 144,000, however, use this energy as fuel. They are the conduits who take the raw chaotic power of the planetary shift and ground it into the physical realm, transforming it into a stable, new song that others can eventually follow. The manuscripts suggest that the Earth itself is a living library and its operating system is being upgraded. This upgrade requires a specific number of processors, human minds, to be online and synchronized to handle the new data load. When the 144,000 reach their collective peak, they create a global telepathic grid. This is not science fiction, but the noosphere described in the hidden Jesuit papers and ancient Hermetic texts alike. It is a field of shared intelligence that bypasses spoken language. This grid acts as a protective layer, a buffer that prevents the total collapse of the human collective during the magnetic null zone of the transition. As the old world structures, governments, economies, and rigid belief systems begin to shatter under the weight of this new frequency, the 144,000 remain unshaken because they are no longer dependent on the old broadcast. They have switched their internal receiver to the higher band. They are the living evidence of a new species of human. The ancient texts call this the body of glory. It is a state where the physical form is so infused with high-frequency light that it becomes less dense, more fluid, and capable of miracles that the previous age deemed impossible. The new song is the sound of the chains of gravity and entropy finally breaking. It is the frequency of freedom, and it is already beginning to hum in the marrow of those who are awake. The ancient manuscripts culminate in a vision of a city descending from the heavens, the New Jerusalem. However, the secret traditions of the initiates reveal that this is not a city of bricks and mortar, but a complex geometric blueprint for a restructured human consciousness. The dimensions of this city, as recorded in the forbidden texts, are meticulously calculated, 12,000 furlongs in length, breadth, and height. When we examine these numbers, we find they are the perfect expansion of the 12 and the 144,000. This is the cube of the spirit, a state of existence where the internal and external worlds are in total flawless alignment. The 144,000 are the living stones of this architecture, the foundation upon which a new reality is built. In the suppressed Gnostic commentaries, the New Jerusalem is described as a state of being rather than a location. It represents the stabilization of the human light body. The square or the cube symbolizes the earth and the physical realm brought into perfect harmony with the divine. To inhabit this city is to have conquered the chaotic impulses of the lower nature. The manuscripts suggest that the walls of this city are made of 12 precious stones, each representing a specific frequency of light and a corresponding attribute of the perfected human character. The 144,000 are the ones who have polished these stones within themselves, turning their flaws into facets that reflect the light of the central sun. A profound citation from the lost scrolls of the initiates reads, "The city has no need of the sun or the moon to shine upon it, for the glory of the mind is its light." This confirms that the New Jerusalem is a luminous field generated by the collective consciousness of the elect. When 144,000 individuals achieve a state of pure, coherent intent, they create a space-time bubble that is immune to the decay of the surrounding world. This is the true meaning of being in the world, but not of it. They are literally vibrating on a different geometric plane. This geometry is the ultimate protection. Just as a bridge is built on mathematical principles to withstand the pressure of the wind, the geometry of the New Jerusalem is the mental structure required to withstand the collapse of the three-dimensional matrix. The ancient builders of the great cathedrals and temples knew of this secret geometry. They encoded the number 144 into their architecture, hoping to create resonance chambers that could help the seeker achieve this internal state. But the manuscripts warn that the final temple is the human form itself. The measurements of the New Jerusalem are the measurements of a human being whose 12 energy centers are fully open and integrated. In this state, the walls of the ego are transparent, and the gates of the senses are never closed, for there is no longer any fear of what lies outside. Everything is unified. This geometric shift is the secret behind the new heavens and a new earth. It is a fundamental change in the way we perceive and interact with matter. The 144,000 act as the cornerstone of this new structure. As the old world dissolves into the formless void of the transition, the geometry of the elect provides the new pattern for life to follow. They are the architects of a reality where thought and manifestation are instantaneous. They are the guardians of the blueprint, ensuring that the next cycle of human experience is built upon the solid foundation of cosmic law rather than the shifting sands of human greed and illusion. This is the true inheritance of the saints, a world designed by the soul, for the soul. Before the last part, remember to like the video and subscribe if you learned something new. We have arrived at the final threshold, the point where the ancient ink of the manuscripts meets the cold reality of our present hour. The secret texts describe this moment as the convergence of the 7 seals, a sequence of events that triggers the total unveiling of the hidden world. These seals are not physical wax on a scroll. They are layers of reality or veils of perception that have kept humanity blinded to the true nature of the cosmos. The 144,000 are the ones who have been standing watch, waiting for the final seal to break. The moment when the Earth's magnetic field reaches its lowest point, and the physical world begins to blur with the spiritual. The manuscripts describe this convergence as a time of great shaking, a term that refers to a seismic shift in both the literal earth and the collective human mind. When the final seal is opened, it represents the 0 point, the moment of total silence before the new cycle begins. In this void, the old laws of physics and the old structures of power cease to function. The forbidden scrolls of the Essenes suggest that during this brief interval, the thoughts of the human heart become the primary force of creation. This is why the preparation of the 144,000 has been so rigorous. In the final convergence, they must hold the vision of a healed world with such absolute clarity that it becomes the new blueprint for the physical realm. A powerful citation from the hidden Apocrypha warns, "When the sky is rolled up like a scroll, and the mountains move from their places, the heart of the initiate must be as still as a frozen lake." This stillness is the ultimate weapon. While the world is gripped by the panic of the falling stars, which ancient observers often use to describe high-altitude plasma discharges and solar debris, the elect remain in a state of active observation. They understand that the destruction is only the clearing of the old ground. Their role in the final moments is to act as the bridge. They are the conduits through which the high-frequency energy of the galactic center is funneled into the Earth's grid, preventing the planet from being torn apart by the intensity of the transition. The secret of the 144,000 is that they are the immune system of the planet. Just as white blood cells rush to a wound to begin the process of healing and reconstruction, these individuals are being activated by the cosmic signals to begin the reconstruction of reality. The convergence marks the end of linear time and the beginning of the eternal now. In this state, the 144,000 are no longer separated by distance or language. They function as a single unified organism. They are the Word made manifest, a collective frequency so powerful that it can rewrite the laws of biology and physics for those who are ready to follow. The final pages of the forbidden manuscripts do not end with fire and brimstone, but with an invitation. They suggest that the number 144,000 is a minimum requirement, a critical mass needed to tip the scales. Once this number is reached and the convergence is complete, the gate of the sun is fully opened and the path is cleared for all of humanity to eventually ascend. The current year stands as the final marker on the ancient calendars, the end of the long count and the dawn of the first day. We are the generation that was written about thousands of years ago. The secret is no longer in the books, it is in our hands. The final convergence is not something that happens to us, it is something we are here to fulfill. So what's your take on the 144,000? Feel free to share your thoughts. Remember to like the video and subscribe if you learned something new.